What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a long video because we are going to break down and talk about the full card of Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev. So it's going to be a longer video. Get your water, get your tea, get your coffee, get a snack, sit back, and let's get into it. Let's talk things through. So let's start at the bottom of the card. Ben Whittaker versus Liam Cameron, 10 rounds in the 175-pound division. Let's start with their respective records. Whittaker, 8 wins, no losses, 5 wins by way of knockout. Cameron, 23 wins, 6 losses, 10 wins by way of knockout. A lot of people have asked me what my thoughts have been about Ben Whittaker. We haven't done a Ben Whittaker breakdown on the channel so far, but I've seen a bunch of his fights. I think he's a very talented boxer. He's a decorated amateur at the amateur level. You know, 2020 Olympic bronze medalist, Commonwealth champion 2018, bronze medalist the following year at World Championships in 2019. So he's done very well for himself at the amateur level. And if you turn on the tape and you watch him film, you can see the talent. I mean, he's fast, quick reflexes, quick hands, good pop in his shots, good head movement. He's athletic, he's explosive, he's confident, and the mannerisms showcase the confidence. Whether you like Ben Whittaker or not, man, it's hard to deny the fact that the man is fun to watch. You know, when he's showboating and moving and dancing, all of that stuff, it's not easy to do all that and to still not miss a beat. Like, that's not easy to do. It's tough to do, man, because he still keeps the rhythm and he can punch out of it. And if you watch the placement and timing on his punches, he's a very accurate puncher. He reminds me a little bit of kind of like how his antics and his movements and the athleticism. You remember Emmanuel Augustus, the drunken boxer, how he used to move, and a little bit of Sweet Pea Parnell Whittaker, just in some movements that Ben Whittaker makes. We know how great Sweet Pea Whittaker is, and Ben Whittaker has a long way to reach that same comparison, but I'm just talking about some of the movements that I've seen from Ben Whittaker so far. Point is, yeah, I agree with what a lot of people are saying. He is a talented fighter. He fought twice last year, beating Leon Willings with ease, dropped him, beat him up, punched him up on all fronts. Even though Leon had a few good moments, landed a few nice shots, he couldn't keep up with the speed, the athleticism, and the skill set that Ben Whittaker does possess. Do I think Ben Whittaker could have stopped him? Yeah, I do. But you have to give credit to Leon Willings as well, too, because his heart kept him up and he willed himself to finish the fight and to not quit and to not get stopped. He fought hard. He's young. I believe Willings will bounce back from that loss moving forward and still have a good career. Recently, he fought Arenica and he outboxed Arenica for 10 rounds. A wide decision victory. Whittaker got underneath his skin a little bit, some frustrating moves and tactics from Arenica, you know, a little headbutt, a little elbow. You know, that's what happens when a fighter gets underneath your skin and he's showboating on you and you can't really touch him, you can't really get to him. It's just never a good feeling. So while we don't condone illegal things, illegal hits, you know, when you're frustrated, man, like, I can understand why he did those things. Whittaker got underneath his skin. And Whittaker had him hurt in the 10th round, but he wasn't able to close out the show. But nonetheless, Ben Whittaker did what he needed to do, and he won the fight. Now, Liam Cameron is coming off of a controversial loss against Lyndon Arthur. Faced Lyndon Arthur in his last bout. That was his toughest fight to date. Lyndon Arthur was his toughest opponent to date. Lyndon Arthur works everything behind the jab, right? When he establishes the jab, he fights with confidence. When he gets that jab going, he lets off some nice combination. But if the jab is not moving and grooving, it's a very hesitant, unconfident Lyndon Arthur. But Lyndon Arthur was doing some damage with his precision and his jab and had Cameron's nose bleeding very early in the fight. right? Cameron was tough, though. You know, he kept trying to close the gap through a whole bunch of punches. Even if all the shots weren't getting through, he was consistent and he was busy, especially very early in the fight. Lyndon Arthur got a point deducted in the second round after the bell rang. After the bell rang, you know, he hit Cameron with a cheap shot. Cameron sold the heck out of that. Flopped, landed down. The ref looked back and was like, nah, man, I saw what you did. Boom, gets a point deducted. Very, you know, Cameron got a future in acting if that's the case, because he sold that extremely well. But it made Lyndon Arthur much more aggressive after that. He started taking risks, trying to land some big shots, a few close exchanges that could have worked against him if Cameron was a little better with his timing and his counter punching. But in the end, it was a good fight. I think it was a much harder fight than Lyndon Arthur expected it to be. But Cameron would go on to lose the fight. Tough, hard-fought fight, man. But it was a much closer fight once the fight started than what the odds made it seem like. So we'll see how he does on the night. On paper, it's going to be Whittaker's toughest test. So can he continue his winning streak against Cameron? Will he be able to get it done, or will Cameron cause the upset and showcase that my experience is much more valuable than your athleticism? So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. You know, I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/thebreakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. You know, I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos and videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. I like Ben Whittaker to win this fight by decision. I think we see a couple new wrinkles in Ben Whittaker's skill set, right? Because Cameron seems strong, so Whittaker might have to fight on the inside more than he's had to have before, because Cameron's going to be there. He's going to come forward. He's going to be right there in front of him. But I think Ben Whittaker's speed, athleticism, and skill set, the variation in his punches, I think it's going to be too much for Cameron to keep up with, even though the physicality of Cameron can make a difference in this fight. Cameron's never been stopped before, so we know he's tough. We know the chin is strong. I just think Ben Whittaker has a lot more in his skill set than Cameron does. I like Ben Whittaker to win this fight by decision. Let's keep things moving. Let's keep things going up the card. Skye Nicolson versus Raven Chapman, 10 rounds in the 126-pound division. Let's get into it. Let's start with their respective records. Skye Nicolson, 11 wins, no losses, 1 win by way of knockout. Chapman, 9 wins, no losses, and 2 wins by way of knockout. This is a title fight, so it's a great opportunity for Raven Chapman to come in, get the upset, and to become a champion. Can she do it? It's possible in the sport of boxing. Anything can happen, but we'll see if it can happen. I've been impressed with Skye Nicolson in her recent fights, man. You know, she fought Lucy Wildheart, someone who fought Michaela Mayer, and she got the win in her first stoppage of her career in the 9th round. She fought Szeremeta, who's fought some quality opponents in her own rights, including Amanda Serrano. Nicolson is a pure boxer through and through, man. I don't think she has a lot of power, but she can box very well. It was on full display against Szeremeta, right? A good example of to hit and to not get hit, to stay away and to slip in when I need to, touch and move, so to speak. She fought a very controlled fight, a confident fight, and while she might not have knockout power, she's very accurate with her shots. She has really good timing. She can hit and she can counter very well. She doesn't waste a whole lot of motion. She's very sharp, very calculated, very disciplined. She makes fights look easy. You know what I'm saying? She has that type of skill set where she can neutralize her opponents. Mahfoud couldn't close the gap. And Skye Nicolson said, okay, cool, I got you right where I want you. So she stayed on the outside and just boxed her way to a victory. Feinted with one hand, came over the top with the other consistently. Skye is going to do what she needs to do, regardless if it's an exciting fight or not. She's going to make sure she fights to her skill set and be disciplined not to get sucked into her opponent's fight. She looked pretty good in her recent fight against Dinah Vargas, man. Vargas was trying to push the pace, trying to close the gaps. Sometimes she had success and landed, but it was far in between against Nicolson. She was just following Skye Nicolson around the ring and was just throwing anything and everything and hoping that it would land. And when she missed wide, it was blatant. She would get clipped with the overhand left. She kind of got sucked into fighting Nicholson's fight and seemed very frustrated at the fight that she was fighting. You know, Nicolson sometimes fights with her hands down when she's feeling good, feeling really confident. And Vargas was trying to do the same thing. And that led her to getting clipped with the same shot, that overhand left, over and over and over again. And one of those shots hurt her and wobbled her feet a little bit. And I felt like it was kind of obvious to see what Nicolson was doing, but you know, Vargas, she just didn't catch on to it because I think she was frustrated and was chasing rather than using her IQ to see what was coming her way. And Skye Nicolson took complete control of it, man. Nicolson has a very good ring IQ and ring control. She knows how to keep the distance. And if you allow her to be comfortable, man, you can kiss that fight goodbye. She's going to stay outside and pot shot you all day and point her way to victory. She knows her strengths, right? And she's going to fight to her strengths. The first time I saw Raven Chapman fight, she fought undefeated fighter Lila dos Santos Furtado, and she was in a fight, man. Furtado made her fight. You know, she scored a headbutt knockdown. If you remember that fight, you know what I'm talking about. A headbutt knockdown in the second round, and that kind of separated herself to get the win, man. I thought she fought well that fight. She was landing quality shots, putting together good combinations. And it was one of those things. One of the things I like about Chapman is she does put together good combinations and consistent combinations. Like, she's not afraid to let her hands go, right? She'll punch in combinations as soon as you're in range. She goes through the whole body, right? She might hit the head. Okay, they block the head. Let me go to the body. Okay, I see what they're doing. Let me come around, change angles, and try a different way. You can tell she's thinking and figuring things out in real time. She's a very good inside fighter, and Furtado made her fight inside. She had to be physical because Furtado is a strong woman, and she was very aggressive in that fight. And Raven Chapman did a very good job of not getting flustered, not getting overwhelmed when the fight was on the inside, but working out of the clinch, slipping in shots, and being disciplined and not over committing her shots. She fought well. She might not be as quick as Skye Nicolson, but she's much more physical, and that could work in her favor as it did on the night against Furtado. And I think if she has to dig inside of the ring, she's going to dig inside of the ring. In Raven Chapman's most recent fight, she fought Johanna Sabria. Both women, man, look, they look like they were trying to prove a point. Both of them were trying to take each other's head off. Those girls were throwing heavy punches. Chapman landed some big shots in the second round, flush, clean shots, man. Sabria's face got red very early. She was putting everything on those punches. I like the fact that Chapman was using different angles in order to let her shots go and to have success landing her shots. She seemed to kind of found her groove after the third round, got comfortable, And she started to see Sabria's shots coming, and she really settled in and found her timing, and her confidence started to grow and grow and grow, and her counters got more effective, more efficient. Chapman was very smart, man. She didn't get baited in to what Sabria was trying to do. Sabria was trying to counterpunch and catch her coming in. So she wasn't throwing as much. She was waiting. Man, when Chapman comes in, makes a mistake, I'm going to counter her. But Chapman did a great job of staying controlled, staying poised, and staying precise and calculated in what she was doing, man. She had to earn that win. It was a very solid performance. You know, Chapman doesn't have a lot of knockouts, man, but she really sits down on those punches, man. She punches a lot harder than what her record shows, at least in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to this fight, man. I think it's going to be a good one. So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. You know, I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/thebreakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. You know, I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. It's going to be a different fight, man. I think it's going to be good, right? It's going to depend if Chapman can close the gap and use her physicality to her advantage and impose her will and force Nicolson to get uncomfortable and to fight back, that's going to work in the favor of Chapman, right? I don't think Nicolson is that strong physically. I don't think she can handle the physicality of a tough and grueling fight. She hasn't had that yet, right? Chapman can show her different if she can close the gap and cut off of the ring. But the hard thing is slowing down Skye Nicolson because she's patient. She's a very disciplined fighter. She's going to do her best to hit and not get hit. She wants to hit and escape, reset her feet, and do it all again every single round. And she is very good at keeping the distance. She's got the type of footwork to frustrate Chapman and outbox her. I think it's going to be a close fight. And I don't know what the odds are saying on this one, but I think it's going to be a closer fight than what the odds might say. This is a 50-50 fight. I think it could go either way, but I like Nicolson. I think she's going to get it done by decision. Nicolson can't fight with her hands down in this fight. I don't think it'll work in her favor if she does that. She will be in trouble if she gets too overconfident. She will get clipped. But I think she is going to use that range control and her physical advantages, her reach, right? And just stay on the outside and try to box her way to victory. But I think it's going to be close, but I think she can get it done. I think both women are going to test each other in different ways. Let's keep things moving. Let's keep things pushing. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Kamil Szeremeta, 12 rounds in the 160-pound division. Let's start with their records. Eubank, 33 wins, 3 losses, 24 wins by way of knockout. Szeremeta, 25 wins, 2 losses, 2 draw, and 8 wins by way of knockout. You know, man, it's good to see Eubank back inside of the ring. I think he's a very talented, skillful fighter, charismatic. He can sell a fight. You know, he's got a lot of potential. Yeah, he's 33 years old right now. So a lot of people have their thoughts about him. He's been in a lot of fights. He's been in some close fights. He's had some great things that worked in his favor, but he's also seen some moments where you see his skill set and you're like, man, this guy can be a champion. Right? There's a lot of people who are high on Chris Eubank, and there are those who are a little disappointed in how his career has been. I think the 160-pound division, I think, is completely open, and I think Eubank can be one of the main guys in the division, but he has to act now. He cannot linger much longer. We haven't seen Eubank for over a year now. The last time we saw Eubank was in the rematch against Liam Smith. After losing to Liam Beefy Smith earlier, he got with Bomac and his team and came back and got his get back. And after being dominated by Liam Smith in the first fight, he came back in the second and looked better than ever. His counters looked excellent. The placement in his punches were precise, accurate. His movement was quick. He looked fluid. His punches were excellent. The uppercut was a thing of beauty that he was landing on Liam Beefy Smith, man. The variations in his punches, excellent. Dropped Smith in the fourth round with that uppercut. It looked like he took the fight much more seriously and was fighting with a purpose. And when you're fighting with a purpose, man, that always makes your performance that much better. He was dominant. He got the 10th round stoppage. And honestly, that was probably one of the best performances that I've seen of him, because it seemed like he really wanted it, but he wasn't forcing the fight. Everything came easy. It looked very, very smooth. That version of Chris Eubank, very tough to beat, in my opinion. Now, Szeremeta, man, the Polish fighter, is on a 4-fight win streak. He's coming off of a draw in his last fight against Abel Mina, which we'll get into very shortly. But Szeremeta, man, you know, he's got 2 losses, but the 2 guys that he's lost to, you know, is not a bad individuals to lose to. He fought Triple G Gennady Golovkin, where he got stopped in the 7th round, and he fought Jaime Munguia, where he got stopped in the 6th round. So both times that he's lost, he got stopped, right? He's been knocked out. But to his credit, as I said, I mean, he lost to some guys that can punch, and he lost to some guys that have a lot of knockout on their resume. Triple G dropped Szeremeta in the first round with a counter left hand. Szeremeta got up off of the canvas and still fought his way to the end, despite being dropped a few more times throughout the fight before getting stopped in the 7th round. Against Munguia, you know, he was in that fight until he wasn't, right? Against Munguia, he was in that fight until he wasn't. The shot that Munguia landed was a shot that Chris Eubank Jr. has had a lot of success with, that uppercut. Munguia started landing those uppercuts, and it started to weaken and break down Szeremeta, and it became too much for Szeremeta to handle. Munguia's uppercut might have more power behind it than Chris Eubank Jr., but I think Chris Eubank Jr. executes his uppercut a lot smoother and efficiently with more speed, and it comes through a little bit smoother than Munguia. And when Munguia started to let his hands go, man, it's a thing of beauty. And he was starting to get off on Szeremeta, and it was starting to look very ugly, and the corner stopped the fight in the 6th round. In his most recent fight, Szeremeta fought Abel Mina, and he fought to a draw. Szeremeta was chasing Mina around the ring, and Abel Mina was using his jab. He would return fire whenever Szeremeta was getting too close, and he needed to fight him and push him back. But Mina did a good job of fighting a responsible fight, trying to stay away from Szeremeta's hard punches. He was trying to land that right hand, but Mina saw it coming for the most part and fought a controlled, disciplined fight. You know, he didn't get sucked into fighting that all-out brawl, grueling type of war that Szeremeta wanted to do. Even though Szeremeta was relentless with his pressure, he kept coming forward and kept throwing. Even if he wasn't fully landing, he stayed busy and gave Abel Mina something to always think about up here. But, you know, the fight ended up being a draw, but I personally thought that Abel Mina won the fight. I felt like he did enough to get the nod. Nonetheless, Szeremeta will be looking to get the biggest win of his career on his resume and be looking to get into the win column all over again. So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. You know, I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/thebreakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. You know, I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos and videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. So personally, I think this is Chris Eubank Jr.'s fight to lose. If he's taking this fight seriously, like how he did in his last fight, he should get the stoppage. If he doesn't take this fight seriously, he'll probably still box his way to a victory, but it might look a little shaky at times. I'm going to go with the Chris Eubank Jr. that's been focused, that's been training in the Bomac camp, who is dialed in, who's focused, who knows that he is starting to hit those pinnacle years of his career where a loss kind of pushes him down. And if he keeps winning at 160, there's a great opportunity. At some point, he could hold a belt. So I think he knows what's at stake here, and I'm going to lead with that. I like Chris Eubank Jr. to win this fight by stoppage. I think his speed and athleticism will be a lot for Szeremeta on the night, and those uppercuts will be connecting often and often as the fight progresses. But we'll see what version of Chris Eubank Jr. that we get on the night, but I do like him to get it done. Let's keep things pushing. Let's keep moving up the card. Jai Opetaia versus Jack Massey, 12 rounds in the cruiserweight division, the 200-pounders. Opetaia, 25 wins, no losses, 19 wins by way of knockout. Massey, 22 wins, no losses, 12 wins by way of knockout. In my opinion, Opetaia is the top dog right now in this division, and he's beaten the top guy in the division not once, but twice. I'm talking about Mairis Briedis. Those two fought two hard, grueling war type of fights. Like, that's a fight that I wouldn't mind seeing for a third and the fourth time. And I still think on the third and the fourth time, Opetaia would still come out on top. So even though Opetaia won both of his fights against Mairis Briedis twice by unanimous decision, it wasn't an easy fight. It was a grueling fight. Both men still got tested. They were tough. They were grueling. It was physical. You know, we've touched on Opetaia a couple times on the channel already, so you know what I think of him, but I'm going to say it again. I think he's the real deal. He's tough. Man fought Mairis Briedis in the second half of the fight with a broken jaw and still got the win. We know he's tough. A little crazy, but we know he's tough. Right? We know he can punch. We know he's got speed. The timing is good. We know he's got power, right? We know he's the skill set and all the offensive weaponry in his bag that he does possess, and the punches that he can land, the athleticism, the explosiveness. He's got the goods. We know what he can do, right? He's a tough night for anybody in the division. And honestly, I think he gives some of those heavyweights some work too. But Jack Massey, he's confident. He believes he can win, as every fighter should. He's got 2 losses on his resume, but he has not been stopped before. So that's a great thing to have in mind, right? And the opponents that he's lost to, you know, he's fought some quality opponents, man. He fought Richard Riakpo in 2019, moved up a division in the heavyweight division to fight Joseph Parker last year, came up short before going back down to the cruiserweight division and beating Isaac Chamberlain, where he fought very well in that fight. Against Isaac Chamberlain, man, he was patient, didn't overcommit too much on his shots, right? He fought very well on the inside, good combinations, kept using his jab, kept working, went to the head, hit the body. He took Chamberlain's shots very well. He got hit a little too easily when he got tired, right? But he got clipped from in close. And when Jack Massey got tired or maybe even punched himself out a little bit, that's when Chamberlain was starting to get through with his shots, countering him, going to the head, going to the body. Some of those rounds were very close. It was a grueling fight, and sometimes those men were both countering each other with similar shots. I think if Chamberlain moved his head off of the line in the championship rounds, I think he would have won that fight because he was coming on strong. But he also got clipped with some big punches and combinations close to the end of the round where it seemed like Jack Massey stole the round, because refs have a tendency to focus on the last shot. So if you can land some big shots in the last 15, 20 seconds, it might make it seem like you won that round. And Jack Massey, he was able to do that before the rounds end. Even in some of those rounds where it seemed like he was getting dominated and he was hugging on the ropes a little bit too much. But when he's tired, the skills and the mind kind of fades, but Massey had to dig deep to get the nod in that fight, man. It was a very good back and forth fight. I'm not mad at the outcome. But he had to dig for that fight. So, he's a guy that can, he hasn't been stopped before, but you're going to have to take him out. You're going to have to take him out if you want to stop him from coming forward. But Opetaia is a different monster, man. He might be 200 pounds, but he isn't the easiest to find. I don't think you can take too much of Opetaia's shots, like how Massey took Chamberlain shots and still stand there. So Massey's got to be careful in this fight, man. He's going to have to raise his level, and he is capable of doing that on the night, but can he? So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and Signup Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/thebreakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos and videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. I like Jai Opetaia to win this fight by stoppage. From what I saw from Massey versus Chamberlain, Opetaia is faster than Chamberlain. His reflexes are better. He's a bigger puncher. He puts better combinations together. His placement is better. And he is just an all-around better fighter to me, in my opinion, man. It's a step up for Jack Massey in this fight. I don't think it is a step up for Jai Opetaia after fighting Myris Briedis twice. I like Opetaia to win this fight by stoppage, but anything can happen. I think Massey's going to put forth a valiant effort and hang in there as best as he can, but I like Opetaia to win this fight by stoppage. Let's keep moving up the card. Let's go to the heavyweights. I'm talking Fabio Wardley versus Frazier Clarke 2, the rematch. 12 rounds, In the heavyweight division, Fabio Wardley, 17 wins, no losses, 1 draw, 16 wins by way of knockout. Frazier Clarke, 8 wins, no losses, 1 draw, and 6 wins by way of knockout. In the first fight, these two fought to a draw. It was an exciting fight. I thoroughly enjoyed this fight. It was on a Sunday, so not a lot of people were really thinking it was going to be the fight that it lived up to be. And this fight had a bit of everything to me, man. I mean, we had high pace. We had heavy punches. Both men were in trouble at time. Both men looked exhausted in sports. Wardley had a broken nose, so he had to fight through some adversity, but Clarke had to fight through some adversity because he got dropped in the 5th round, caught with some big shots from Wardley in the 7th round. It looked like it was about to be over for him. Wardley was doing some serious work offensively. He was on. But I have to give Frazier Clarke credit because he overperformed for me. I wasn't sure where his toughness level would be. This was a step-up fight for him. Wardley has fought better opposition. I think Frazier Clarke is the better technical boxer. His jab was nice. The uppercut was very nicely placed, and he finished the fight strong. Wardley's style is a little bit more raw to it, a little bit more rugged, right? He's more explosive than Frazier Clarke. I think he carries a little bit more power than Frazier Clarke. I think he has more athleticism than Frazier Clarke. But Clarke landed some big shots of his own, countered Wardley with some nice shots of his own. And I felt like Clarke fought a very smart fight when he was in control, tying up and leaning on him if he found himself too much in trouble. All in all, it was, from a spectator standpoint, it was an excellent fight to watch. Now, I'm not mad at the draw by no means, but I felt like Wardley did enough to win the fight. I thought he pushed the pace a little bit more. I thought he landed the more eye-catching shots. Felt like he threw the bigger punches. He scored that knockdown, and I think he finished stronger than Clarke in the championship rounds. But if you just look at the photos of both men, Wardley looked worse than Clarke, right? Like, if you didn't see the fight and you looked at the photo, you're like, man, Frazier Clarke should have won the fight. But the fight tells a different story, as the photo will tell a different story. Good fight, close fight. I'm looking forward to seeing the rematch. So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/thebreakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. My first prediction of this fight, I went with Fabio Wardley by stoppage. I think this time around, he gets it done. I think he wins by stoppage because now he kind of knows what to expect. Now he knows that he can hurt Frazier Clarke, and I think he'll fight a better defensive fight. I think it's a fight that could play similar to how it did in the first time, except, again, I think Wardley's defensively will be better. At the heavyweight division, both guys can punch. I like the more athletic and explosive Wardley, even though I think Clarke has better fundamentals. Give me the athletic and the explosive fighter in this fight. But I would not rule out a decision victory for either guy as well, too. I think Wardley will time his energy a little bit better, because I think he spent himself a little bit in the early part of the fight and made the second half of the fight a lot tougher. Or Frazier Clarke could come back and totally change this fight by slowing down the fight and fighting to his type of pace and style. But I'm going with my first choice, as I did in the fight the first time. I like Fabio Wardley to win this fight. I'm going by stoppage, but the safer bet would probably be for either guy, decision for either guy. But I like Fabio Wardley to win this fight. I'm still going with the stoppage. Let's keep things going, man. Let's talk about that main event. You guys like everything so far, man? Good, good. Let's talk about that main event, baby. Look, Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol, 12 rounds, the 175-pound division. Paint the picture. This one is for all of the belts, all of the marbles. We will have an undisputed champion in the division. This is a fight that is not for the casuals. The casuals might tune in here and there, but this is a fight for the boxing aficionados, man. This is for the boxing people who watch boxing week to week. This fight is for us. I'm saying this fight is for us. This is a true 50-50 fight. Maybe not to you, but to me. This is a fight that could go either way, man. Let's get into it. Let's start with their respective records. Artur Bone Crusher Bulldozing Beterbiev. I don't even know what his nickname is. He's welcome to use either of those ones. Bulldozing Beterbiev. You know what I'm saying? 20 wins, no losses, 20 wins by way of knockout. That's right, 20 wins by way of knockout. Dmitry Bivol, 23 wins, no losses, 12 wins by way of knockout. My, oh my, where do we start here? So this fight was postponed because Beterbiev had a recent injury. I believe it was a ruptured meniscus. Now, we don't know the full extent of that meniscus. Rupture seems crazy, but rupture doesn't always mean like out for the count. It could mean something different. Now, from my memory in the sport of track and field and dealing with different various injuries, a healthy young athlete will be able to get back from a ruptured meniscus in between 1 to 3 months, depending on how the rehab is going and if you get surgery or not. Beterbiev is a little bit older, so it's maybe 1 to 6 months, depending on how hard he's been doing rehab and treatment and if he's had surgery. I don't know if he had surgery or not. I'm just trying to give a guesstimation as we paint this whole picture of this fight. Beterbiev is 39 years old now, and he suffered his fair share of injuries. But he isn't really a big mover like that to begin with, so this might not affect him as much as we might think. Put it this way, if this happened to Dmitry Bivol, it would hurt Bivol a lot more because Bivol's style, he uses his feet and movement and changes levels a lot. Beterbiev doesn't do that as much. Beterbiev is more of an efficient mover than a consistent, constant mover. Not a lot of wasted motion in what he does. He's someone who lives boxing through and through. So I'm going to assume that he's taking this fight because he's 100% healthy and he believes that he's in great shape, and we have to take it at that. Bivol, at the same time, he's had his fair injuries as well. I think some that he's battling through right now. But we have to assume that when you step into the ring, you're 100% healthy. So let's cross that off of the list. Bivol might be one of the most disciplined fighters that I've ever seen in the recent years, man. I mean, he has looked amazing in some fights. It's hard to disrupt Dmitry Bivol. But he's looked shaky in some fights as well, too. He looked great against Canelo Alvarez, Zurdo Ramirez, Salimov, Lyndon Arthur, Malik Zanat, and a bunch of others. But he's looked shaky in some fights as well, too. Bivol came into the sport knocking cats out, like a 10-fight knockout streak, stopping cats, punishing cats. But somewhere along the way, man, he stopped taking that risk, And though he's still been aggressive, he hasn't quite been able to close out the show as much as we think that he should. And as some of the fights, he probably should have pushed the fight. Like a fight that comes to mind right now as I'm talking about is when he fought Lyndon Arthur. He beat Lyndon Arthur pretty much every single round, but it was clear that he had no respect for Lyndon Arthur. It was clear he didn't respect the power and what was coming back his way. And though Bivol dropped Lyndon Arthur in the 11th round, I felt like he could have stopped him easily if he would have let his hands go and kept pressing the matter. But let's make no debates about it. Dmitry Bivol is a beautiful boxer to watch. He's smooth. He's a technician. He throws excellent punches, puts together wicked, quick combinations, fast hand, excellent counterpuncher. He goes to the body well. His execution is top notch, and he's got a hell of an IQ. He's a smart fighter inside of the ring, man. He knows how. Perhaps what makes Dmitry Bivol so successful and such a good fighter is because he knows how to control the range of the fight. Discipline is one of his strongest suits, man. He knows when to move in and attack and when to back off, when to pace himself and when to pick up the pressure of the fight. He's tough to hit because he always seems like he's in control of his body and knows where he is positioning wise inside of the ring. How many times have you seen Dmitry Bivol fighting on the back foot or staying stuck on the ropes? It hasn't been a lot, very few. That discipline. And the other thing about him, man, he's not one to really ever get frustrated or feel overwhelmed. He's calm and collected at all times. That man, Artur Beterbiev, that's a bad man right there, man. I mean, yeah, he's older. Yeah, he's had a bunch of injuries over the years, but every time it seems like he's missing a beat, he seems to punish his opponents. Look, God makes all of us different and creates us with all of our own special gifts and unique things that makes us who we are. I don't know what God put inside of Artur Beterbiev's hands. He gave him a little extra that he did not give to us. There's a reason why he has 20 wins, 20 fight by way of knockout. We've seen Beterbiev dropped. We've seen Beterbiev bloody blood gushing down his face. We've seen him tested. But you know what else we've seen? We've seen him pick himself up out of the canvas, off the canvas, and dominate his opponents in bone-crushing fashion. And coming back after he's been dropped, or he needs to pick up the pace, or he's losing the fight, and he comes back stronger and dials in. Sometimes he does start slow. But for me, in the recent fights, he has not started slow. He's been pushing the pace a little bit more. Joe Smith Jr. tried to catch him off guard when they fought, trying to catch him sleeping, trying to catch him cold, and he paid a very punishing and bruising price. It forced Beterbiev to wake up and to turn things on right now. And it did not work in the favor of Joe Smith. And that fight was done within under 4 rounds, under 3 rounds. So they say styles make fights, and stylistically, one of the fights that come to mind from a stylistic standpoint that Beterbiev has fought when we're trying to think about who has he fought with a similar skill set like Dmitry Bivol, and the name that comes to mind is Alexander Gvozdyk, a guy who can move, a guy who can punch, a guy who has good foot movement, a guy who has, good IQ inside of the ring. And that was a prime Alexander Gvozdyk that Artur Beterbiev fought. Gvozdyk, man, he was getting off on Beterbiev a little bit in that fight. But it also looked like he was trying to prove a point. It looked like he was trying to fight a little bit of his fight and a little bit of Artur Beterbiev's fight. I'm going to fight on the inside. That's your fight. But I can also be on the outside and jab and hit you from afar and fight my fight. But every single time Gvozdyk switched it up, Beterbiev responded. And he responded well every time. Anytime Gvozdyk would let a shot off, Beterbiev would come back with something. Every time Gvozdyk seemed like he was getting a little bit of momentum, Beterbiev would land a shot that would totally shift the way how he thought that fight was going to go. Beterbiev would pull back and hit the body. He would go to the head. Every time Beterbiev lands a shot, you feel it. right? Like you feel it. BF does not need a lot of space to do work, man. It seems like he just touches you, close range, snapping shots in, and his opponents is hurt like that. Like he's got that scary type of power, man. Gvozdyk could not fully sit on his punches, right? Because you have to be weary of what's coming back at you if you know a guy hits hard. He was very weary of what was coming back his way. And you have to be wary of Beterbiev's hands because he doesn't need to load up, right? Gvozdyk's hand speed was working in his favor. Bivol, I think, has faster hands than Gvozdyk. Gvozdyk, I think, seemed to hurt Beterbiev in that 7th round with some nice counters, but right before the bell rang in that same round, Beterbiev caught Gvozdyk with a shot that dropped and that the ref called a slip. I also feel like Beterbiev doesn't get the respect that he does have for being a defensive fighter, man. He does a good job of rolling with punches, and he's blocking some of these shots with his hands and his gloves. He's a very crafty defensive fighter and mover. He started cutting off the ring against Gvozdyk and started turning up the pressure. And once he did that, man, Gvozdyk started to feel those shots and those thuds. Beterbiev took full advantage of a tired Gvozdyk who was starting to feel the after effects of those body shots and hard punishing inside fight game that was coming his way, right? And it started to show in that 10th round. Once Beterbiev starts to really impose his will, man, it's like he mauls you, right? He doesn't let you go away. Like you can't separate from the man. Like he's always there. And he broke down an excellent fighter and a champion at the time, and he just broke him down and bided his time and waited, and he closed out the show. Gvozdyk has never been stopped before to that point. We saw Gvozdyk, an older version of Gvozdyk, take a bunch of different punches against David Benavidez and didn't fade and didn't fall. So clearly the power of Artur Beterbiev is real. Now, Bivol knows how to take away a fighter's strength. He took away Canelo's strength with discipline and combination punching and controlling the ring. Zurdo Ramirez was a bigger fighter than Dmitry Bivol, but they didn't look like that on the night. Bivol took away Ramirez's strength and put on a master class in boxing and positioning inside of the ring and ring control. He neutralized Zurdo in every way. Zurdo had his moments, of course, landed a couple shots of his own, timed them, some nice body shots, some decent counter shots, but he couldn't keep up with the speed and the movement and the IQ and the footwork of Dmitry Bivol. He never got comfortable because Bivol never let him get comfortable, right? Anytime Zurdo made a mistake or overcommitted, Bivol caught him and made him pay every single time. The hand speed and the counter quickness and counter punching of Bivol was on full display in that fight. He had Zurdo Ramirez worried and hurt a few times, but he never pressed the fight and he did not get the stoppage. Again, right? Bivol is a very disciplined fighter, and he's not going to do more than he needs to. If he respects you, he's going to stay disciplined and fight within his skill set. If you can't make him uncomfortable, it's going to be a long night for you because he's not going to do and be someone that he's not. Bivol is always going to fight his fight, and you have to respect that, right? His ring control and awareness is excellent, along with all of the other offensive weaponry and skill set that he does possess. So this is going to be a high-level fight, man. I'm looking forward to seeing this fight. I'm looking forward to seeing an undisputed champion at 175, but most importantly, seeing the best in the division go head-to-head. So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. You know, I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/thebreakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. You know, I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos and videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. As I mentioned, man, I think this is a 50-50 fight. If you say Akeem Bivol is going to win this fight, I'm not arguing with you. I agree. If you say Akeem Beterbiev is going to win this fight, I'm not arguing with you. I agree, because you can make a case for both men. I think it's going to be a close fight. Can Bivol neutralize Artur Beterbiev? Can Bivol take the punches of Artur Beterbiev? I don't know. Those are both question marks for both guys. They both have massive strengths, and they both have a great route of winning this fight. Bivol could get dropped for the first time and come back and win the fight. We haven't seen Bivol drop before, not that I can think of. Remember, you let me know in the comments. Beterbiev could get dropped and come back and stop Dmitry Bivol. Bivol hasn't been stopped before, let alone be dropped before. He hasn't been stopped. So there's a lot of ways how this fight could play out, right? Beterbiev has stopped every opponent that he's faced. Like, anything is possible with that man. And honestly, like, I'm a little bit torn here because I just want to see the fight. You know what I'm saying? It's tough to pick who's going to win because I can see it from either angle, from either or winning this fight. But if I had to pick, you know, it's the breakdown. So we're not afraid to make our predictions and to make a decision. So for me, as of right now, I'm making this video. I gotta say, I like Artur Beterbiev, man. I think Beterbiev is a smarter fighter than he gets credit for. I'm not so much worried about the injury because I think Beterbiev and his team, they're going to take care of that, right? Beterbiev lives a clean, devoted lifestyle. And when you take care of your body on the front end, it will work with you on the back end. So I think the injury, I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. It's going to be interesting to see the adjustments that both of these guys make. It's going to be interesting to see what will Bivol look like if he has to fight off of the back foot and he's the one being pressured. What if he has to fight on the inside? Something that he can do, but doesn't really do the greatest. That's not Bivol's style. He likes that mid-distance range where he can slip in and slip out and not be too much in danger. So I think he can fight in the fire, but he doesn't want to fight that, right? Bivol, if Beterbiev starts to get into his groove and gets comfortable and starts to maul you, I wonder how he will fight that off, right? Those shots of Artur Beterbiev, even if he doesn't load up, we know they're punishing and they're grueling. I'm not saying Bivol is going to get stopped, but at the same time, he could, right? He could. I really don't know which way Artur Beterbiev is going to win, but I'm leaning towards him to get the job done. So I'm going to say Artur Beterbiev by the way of win. By the way of win, man. But seriously, regardless of who wins or loses this fight or it's a draw, this is a fight that we want to see and we get to see. This is going to be a great fight. I'm going to be locked in on my end, which I'm sure that you are going to be locked in. So those are my thoughts on the full cards. Voice is getting tired. I've been talking straight for almost an hour. I would love to hear from you. Who do you think wins? How do you think it goes? What's your thoughts on all of the cards here from start to finish? Let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate every single person that has supported the channel in some way, whether you've liked, commented, share the channel with a friend, subscribe, or you've sent in a Cash App, you've sent in a PayPal, you sent in a super thanks, man. Your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. created. Much love to everybody. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. For the best odds, check out the description below, and you can find some of the best boxing odds and opportunities for this fight. You can check out my dedicated page, check it out, and let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the comments. With all that being said, we'll definitely see you next time.